Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second lesson on our book called Proportional Reasoning 2, which is yellow. And I want to start on page 8 because I don't know if I finished this page last video. So this one is homework, so put homework on top. And I wanted to make sure you have a calculator. So if you don't have a calculator at home, see if you can find one or get one, because you will need it. They're doing long division here. You can do long division, but it takes a long time, obviously. That's why it's called long division. And I'm not quite certain everybody remembers how to do this. And I don't want you to get totally bogged down with this. So if you use a calculator, you have a fraction, and to divide it, to change it to a decimal, and then to a, and you simply divide. Now, when you divide numbers, the order is important. You divide top divided by bottom. So 3 divided by 8. And when you put that in your calculator, you will get 0.375. Unless your calculator is set up to round automatically. This would be, because we have 3 decimals and it's over 1,000, you have 3 zeros. So 3/8 is the same as 375 thousandths. And then over 100, we're only using 2, so it would be 37.5. So you notice if you have 2 zeros, you move your decimal spot 2. If you have 3 zeros, you're moving it 3. So the zeros tell you how many spots you move your decimal. My eraser doesn't work. Lovely. Oh, well. And then what is it as a percent? It's 37.5%, because remember, percent is over 100. Percent is out of 100. So this is the number that will tell you the percent. So you're going to finish this page for homework. And yeah, hopefully this will not be too hard for you. And then I want to start with my new lesson, which is 2.2, finding percent of a number. So on top, I want you to write that you do need a calculator, and you are allowed to use it on the test or any work. A must. So make sure you have one somewhere. And also, this is a long lesson. So if you get tired, pause the video, do half of it at one day and then the other half the next day. Don't try to plow through this whole material at once. It's probably going to be overwhelming. So remember, percent is this symbol, and it's out of 100. So if you have a fraction, that means 100, excuse me, 100 is in the denominator. And if you change it as a percent, you want 2 decimals. I mean, as a decimal. You have 2 decimals. Okay. We will continue to build concepts about percents as we're chunking. Chunking is like grouping things together differently. Double number line, and computational procedures to find percents of numbers. So when we do computational procedures, that's when you need a calculator. Okay, and it's going to, in the end, that's how you're going to find percent. It's leading you up to that. If you understand the calculator right away, that's probably the fastest. Okay, but this will help you kind of understand it better. All right, getting started. Rename each number in different forms. Well, we have fraction, we have the same in decimal, and then as a percent. So we're changing from fraction to a decimal, and then to a percent. So to get a decimal, you divide. And you're dividing 3 divided by 5, not the other way around, not 5 divided by 3. It's top to bottom. That's how you divide, okay? And use your calculator. 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. See if you can get that. And because a percent always has 2 decimals, I always add a 0. Even so, my calculator might just say 0.6. I want to make sure I'm setting myself up for percent correctly. In words, it's 6/10 or 60/100. The TH at the end tells you it's not a whole, it's a part of a whole. Yeah, the TH. And as a percent, so when you change decimal to percent, you move your decimal 2 spaces to the right. So that makes it 60%. Okay, so 2 spaces to the right will give you the percent. Okay, let's see what else. I'm going to skip here because it's the same format. So from fraction to decimal, I divide. And my calculator will say 0.25. Also think of 1/4 as a quarter. A quarter is 25 cents. Okay, in decimal words, it's 25/100 because I have 2 decimals. That's hundredth. And as a percent, I'm moving my decimal point 2 spaces to the right. That's 25%. Okay. I'm having to go back to this problem. It's letting me guess what the fraction is. 0.3, I already know. I'm going to add a 0 and move my decimal 2 spaces to the right. So I already know that's 30%. And that's 3/10 or 30 out of 100. So now comes the fraction. Well, 3/10, if I write 3/10, 3 out of 10, or 30 out of 100. But this is more simpler, simplified fraction. Okay. Remember when you have a decimal, let's say you have 1.452. This is 10th. This is 100ths, and this is 1,000ths. Yeah, 10th, 100th, 1,000th part. And then what do we have? 125 thousandths. So look, thousands is the third. 120, oh, let me write it in fraction. It's 125 out of 1,000. And that would be, if you divide that using your calculator, 0.125. I want you to try to divide yourself, okay? Don't just copy what I'm saying. Use your calculator. 100, put in 125 divided, which is your, this symbol, 1,000, and then push equal and see if you get this number, okay? And that would be, if I move my decimal 2 spaces to the right, 12.5%. And if we reduce or simplify this fraction, I want you to know that 125 over 1,000 reduces to You can divide top and bottom by 25 and you're going to get 1/8. No, you can divide actually by 125. Yep. And reduce it to 1/8. Okay, so 1 out of 8 parts is 12.5%. Okay, so what is the relationship between fractions? Compare the results in problem 1 and 2 above. 1 and 2, it looks like 3/10 is half of 3/5. That's weird because 10 looks like it's twice as big, but you got 10 parts here and you only got 5 parts here. And what is the relationship between the decimals? Well, 0.30 is also half of 0.60. Yeah, so it's exactly half. And that's the same with this, 1/4 and 1/8, 0.25 and 0.125. This is half, or this is double. Half and double are the opposites. I'm going to skip this. Okay, so you can skip that as well. I won't mark you down if it's missing. Number 7, Matt's cell phone has a percent in the upper right-hand corner. Explain what these mean. If the phone says 100%, it's fully charged, right? Now my pen fully charged. 50%, what do you think? It's halfway out of battery. Well, I'm gonna make it positive. It's halfway charged. You can see it either way, halfway empty or halfway full. I'm gonna use the positive and say it's halfway full. 5%, it's almost out of battery. So very close to 0, okay? So that's what these numbers mean. 100 is always the whole thing. Next page, we are on page 9. Again, take breaks, get a glass of water, stretch yourself. You don't have to pull this whole lesson through in one sitting. I do, but I'm going to get it done so that you have the information. This page is homework, put HW on top, but I'm going to help you. Complete each sentence. $1 is how many cents? 100. That's why money works so well, because it's always out of 100. Okay, and then you have to fill these in. 100% of $1 is 100 cents, and so forth. Okay, see if you can figure those out. Remember not to go over any problems in don't forget to put question marks next to the parts you cannot figure out yourself, and we'll go over it in class. If you're not 100% sure that you're correct, then please ask in class. I would rather have you ask than have wrong information in your book. Okay, do you understand? So you're filling in all these 5, 7, 9, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You're filling in all these blanks. And number 12, a meter is how many centimeters? It's also 100. A meter is 100 centimeters. That's why metric system works easier. It's always out of 100. Okay, and then on this the rectangle represents 1 meter from here to here. Yeah, 1 meter. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Make a few more tick marks and label the centimeters. Well, in the middle, you got 50, that's half. Then you can cut that in half and that in half. That makes this 25 and this 75. And then if you want, you can cut these into 5 equal parts and then label each with another increment of 5. So you're going to go up 5 each. So your job is to figure out how to make this happen. This is 5, 10, 15, 20. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 55, 60, 65, 70. Oh, wait, that's not going to work out. They have to be even equal spaced, you know, that's the hard part. 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 1 meter. Okay, now you got increments of 5. Everybody see that? Now your job is to figure out where would be 100%, and you would put the letter A above that. Well, 100% is the whole thing. So that's easy, hopefully. And you have to put these letters onto your measuring stick where you think the percent is, yeah? So remember, 50% is already half. That's easy, that's B. But all the others, you have to figure out where they go. Okay, it helps if you put the numbers here. But I'm not doing that for you. You got to go up by 5s. It helps to put these on there. Yeah, like 5% would be right here. And so on and so forth. Because it's out of 100. So I'll make that 100. Okay, so now this is your page, page 10. Now we're moving on to 11. And I have decided this is also homework. So you got a lot of homework pages here. Take your time, a little bit each day. Estimate how full each container is using percents. So your answers here should be percent. This thing is 100% full. And so forth. You decide, what do you think? What's the percent? So your numbers need to have the percent sign after it, okay? And then you can finish, you can go down and answer these questions. Now this one, number 2, is answers are in ounces, not percent. Ounces. The short for ounces is OC, so each number needs to have OC. So for example, 100%, if you have 800 ounces, that would be 100% would be all of it. So that would go right here. But now you decide how many ounces. So this answer is percent, this answer is in ounces. So you're changing it, okay? And now you're holding 900 ounces of liquid. How many ounces do you estimate are in each container? I know that the first one is full, so it's always the total. So this answer is also in ounces. So your answers have different units. Units of measure, okay? So I want to help you a little bit down here in number 4. Finding 100% of the volume of a container is the same as finding all of it, okay? Finding 50% is finding half of it. Finding 25% of the volume of a container is like finding quarter of it. A quarter is 25%, and 10% is like finding 1/10 of it. So when you find half, it's easy. You divide by 2. When you find a quarter, you divide by 4. When you find 1/10, you divide by 10. But what do you multiply with? It's asking you, what are you multiplying by? Well, when you divide by 2, you multiply by 1/2. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. Okay. Dividing by 4, well, would you multiply? What is the same operation when you multiply? It's 1/4. You would multiply by 1/4. And here, divide by 10, you would multiply by 1/10. Okay. So that page needs to be finished by you guys, and then we're moving on to page 12. And that is also homework, and I have no notes on it, so that means you guys can do it. I hope. You should be fine. So that's page 12. And then we have page 13, and I know that's notes. So that is all filled in by us together. Oh, I have notes plus homework. Oh, so you have parts of it. So I'm going to change it. Notes plus homework. Yikes. Okay, finding. Remember, you need a calculator. Definitely. Okay. Finding percents of quantities using chunking strategies. So chunking is you're going to relate different numbers. Relate or find relationship that are easy for you to find the answer with. Relate different quantities. I'll show you what that means, okay? Complete the table, use division and chunking to compute. Be ready to explain your strategies. So let's look at number 1. You got $30. Remember the dollar sign in front. A dollar has the sign in front, not in the back. Okay, important. 10% means you divide by 10. So put that up here so you remember this goes for the whole column. Divide by 10. That gives you 10%. So 30 divided by 10 is $3. To find 5%, I'm using this. I'm going back over here and I see that it's half of 10%. So I'm going to chunk these two together and say this is half. The answer has to be half of the 10% column. See how I'm relating this? Relate different quantities. So you're looking for clues to relate different quantities. So half of $3 means 3 divided by 2. So use your calculator. 3 divided by 2 half is $1.50. And you always have 2 decimals when you write dollars and cents. 2 decimals, not just 1, okay? Okay, find 15%. Well, it's hard to relate 10% and 15% with multiples, but I know I can relate 15% and 5%. So I see that 15% is 3 times the 5%. So I'll put that here, 3 times the 5% column. 15 is 3 times 5. So that means it's 3 times this amount. So 150 times 3, use your calculator. Check it out, 150 times 3 is 450. Okay, and last I have to find 20%. Well, I cannot relate or chunk together 20 and 15 because they don't have any, 15 doesn't go into 20. I don't see a multiplication relationship. So I'm going back to the 10%. So I'm going from here and relate it to this because I see 20 is twice 10. So I'm going to chunk those two together and say twice 10%. And that goes for the whole column. okay? 20% is twice of 10, so this has to be twice $3, so that's $6. And that's it, you don't need 0, 0 here. Okay, so now we know we have to find 10%, we divide by 10. So now 150 divided by 10 gives me $15. Try it out. Okay, also you can just cross out that 0. Dividing by 10, you can cross out a 0 if there is one. Okay, 5% is half of 10%. That makes it $7.50. Try it yourself. 15% is 3 times 5%. That makes it $22.50. 3 times $7.50. 20% is twice 10%, so that makes it 15 times 2, $30. Okay, let's try the next one. $500. We want 10%. You can cross out the last 0 if you want, or you can divide by 10. It's $50. 5% is half of 10%. Divide that by 2, $25. 15% is 3 times 5%. So 3 times 75 is 3 times 25 is 75. 20% is twice 10%. So that's $100. Okay, $16. 10%, you can divide by 10 or you can move your decimal point back 1 space. $1.60. Don't write $1.06. Okay, that's not good because you don't see that. Money is always, when you have cents, you always have 2 decimals. So start good habits. 5% is half of that. Ooh, that's this. This is how we write 80 cents. Okay. 15% of, it's 240. It's 3 times that. I'm going to erase this because we're going to keep it all the same. And last 20% is 320. $42. 10% means divide by 10 or move your decimal back 1 space. 420. 5% is half of that. That's $2.10. 15% is 3 times that is $6.30. 20% is twice 10%. 840. So this is homework. The next section is your job. And then down here, there's challenge. So we're gonna do the homework, but I'm going to give you clues. 1%, it's super important to know how to find 1%. To find 1%, divide by 100. Or you can move your decimal back 2 spaces. So that would make it 1, 2, or divide by 100, it's $2. So 1% is $2. Find half a percent. Half of 1%. %0.5% is not even a whole percent, it's half of 1%. So if it's half of $2, how much is it? $1. 1.5% is 3 of these. 3 times 0.5%. So that's $3. Oh, find 150. So there's the strategy you really need. I wish they'd have more room. So this is important. Make sure you put a big, like a big important. To find any percent, you find 1% and multiply by 150. Multiply 1% by 150. So that means 2 times 150 is $300. Okay, so 2 times 150 is $300. So now here's the deal. $300 is more than what we started with. Anytime you have a percent number that's bigger than 100, you're going to have a chunk that's bigger than what you started out with. So that's the issue here. Okay, so remember, to find any percent, let me write that down here. Oh, it's asking you something. I'm going to squeeze it in here. To find any percent, so I'll call it step 1. Find 1%. Remember to divide by 100. Step 2, multiply by the percent you need. And I should squeeze in a word here, multiply answer. Okay, so, and then you describe a situation for which finding a percent greater than 100, like this case, makes sense. So think of something. It's not important that you get that right. There's really no right and wrong with these kind of questions. It's just trying to stimulate your thoughts and not just mindlessly do your math, but think about it. So we're done, hopefully, with page 13. We're going to page 14. Homework, more homework. So I want to get you started. So you fill all this in. This is the chunking we just did. Yeah, more practice. Okay, and chunking, remember you connect, like this is half of 10%, 15% is 3 times the 5%, 30% is twice what you get for 15%. Ooh, the 1% is super important, divide by 100. So I'm gonna put that in here, 60 divided by 100, or 60 divided by 100 equals, use your calculator, 60 divided by 100, I believe it's 0.6. Yeah, of course. So 1% of 60 minutes is not even a whole minute. It's 0.6 of a minute, okay? All right, so next I want to show you local sales tax. So sales tax you add on, so it's not taken off. In the beginning, in Los Angeles, sales tax is something you pay extra when you buy something. I'm sure you've noticed that. And the state gets it, the state of California or the city where you buy it. I think it's most locally, yeah, local. So that's city. In the beginning of, and it goes up all the time. So they're using this year, it was 9%, which is pretty high. So whatever you buy, they add 9% for sales tax. And then the merchant has to send it to the city at the end of the day. Okay. How much tax on a $60 jacket? So to find 9%, here are the steps. You find 1%. Then multiply answer by 9. And how do we find 1%? We divide by 100. I'm going to put that there. 1% means divide by 100. What was the total cost including tax? So now you add the tax to your 60, okay? Suppose a pair of jeans cost $40. There's a 35% off sale. So you find first the discount. It's called a discount when it comes off by finding 1% first, and then multiply your answer. What do you think? By 35. Okay. What will be the cost of the jeans after the discount? You subtract or take away the discount from your original price. Which was 40. Okay, so remember, tax you add, discount you subtract. First you find it and then you subtract it from the original price, which was 40. Good luck. You do definitely need a calculator. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there forever trying to figure that out with multiplying and dividing. 15, double number lines. This is notes. So remember our double number lines, your teachers will give you, so we're going to answer question. So our double number line always starts at 0, 0. On top, you have a number. On the bottom, you have a percent, right? So all the numbers on the bottom should have the percent sign. And the number I'm picking this number is 60. Okay, and 60 makes it a full, so it's 100%. So start out like that, yeah? So my choice, the teacher's choice, right? So you're not saying, where does that 60 come from? I just came up with that. Okay, so now let's decide what's half. 50%, right? And that would make that half of 60 is 30. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 5 different chunks. So I'm going to call each one 10, 20, 30, 40. Don't forget the percent. I know that's tedious. So 10% of 60 would 60 divided by 10 is 6. And it goes up by 6 now. I'm adding always 6. So the multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24. And then I'm going to finish upward 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And what matches up here? Up here, I'm going up by 6. Down here, I'm going up by 10%. 36, 42. This is a good reminder what the multiples of 6 are. Try to do it in your head. This is one part you do not want to use a calculator. Okay, multiples of 6. So now here comes my question. What is 40% of 60? Question mark. 40% of 60. It's 24. Right? So you can match it up. Another question. What is 15% of 60? Oh, wow, it's not on there. So 60 is our whole. Ooh, 15% isn't there. So now what do I do? Well, 10 and 20, 15 is halfway between. So it has to be halfway between 6 and 12. Well, how do I find halfway between 6 and 12? You take the average. 6 plus 12 is 18, divided by 2 is 9. Okay, so that's called the average. It's 9. Okay, so that's 1. Now I'm making up another number line, and the number this time is, I'm making it up, it's 50. So 50 is my full, which is 100%, right? And I don't need a half. I don't see a half really here. So I'm going up by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 10% up. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I'm lazy. I'm not putting the percent. I'm getting lazy, but I hope you know that this is your percent line. So whatever number you get here is percent, okay? So here's the question. This time it's different. 15 is what percent? Oh, we're looking for percent of 50. 15 is what percent? We're looking for percent. So the answer should be percent. So to make sure you understand the question, 15 is what percent? 15 is what percent of 50? Answer, 30%. So 15 is 30% of 50. Okay. I have another question. 2.5 is what percent of 50? Again, we're looking for percent. But 2.5, the number isn't here. 2.5 is a number. This is the percent, but it's 0.5. So 2.5, having my number sense, is halfway between 0 and 5. So it has to be halfway between 0 and 10. %. I'm going to answer correctly. 2.5 is 5% of 50. That is the best answer because you're covering all your bases. You're answering in a sentence. So it's just not a number thrown out that you're kind of going, what does that mean? Last one. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you some equations that you have to write eventually. So here are the equations. I'm going to squeeze them in here on the margin. So if you have 40% of 60, it's 24. Here's the equation. The equation is always the part over the total. The total being usually the bigger number. All right, part over total. So we have, here we have the part is 24 over the total is 60. And then that's equal to the percent over 100. The percent is always over 100. So that would be an equation, or they call it equivalent ratios later on. Okay, let's try the next one. So our equation, I'm just using this one here, the top. So this is, I know this is always 100. So the percent is 30 and the part is the 15 and the total is 50. Okay, let's try this one. So the percent is always over here over 100, 5%. And then the part is 2.5 and the total is 50. Okay, so yeah, those equations or proportions, and the book calls them equivalent fractions, you have to be able to write. So we're getting started on that. Last number line to get you a good, I picked the number 40 is my total 100%. 0, 0, so 40, let's see, I'm going up by 4. 4, so the multiples of 4, let's repeat them. Did I make a mistake? Yes, see, right in here. I went astray. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and I'm going up by 10%. So all these numbers down here are percent. Okay, so here's the question for this one. Very tricky. 24, notice each question is worded a little different, is 60% of what number? So we're looking for a number, not percent. So we're looking for a number. So you always kind of read and see, what are we looking for? Are we looking for percent or are we looking for a number? So your answer has to reflect that, right? So 24 and 60, let me get this straight here. 24 is 60% of what number? Well, it's that number. 24 is 60% of 40. So my answer, I'm going to write it really cool to where everybody understands it. 24 is 60% of 40. Okay. And I always like my answers boxed. And last question, one more. 34 is what percent of 40? Oh, what are we looking for? What percent? So we're looking for percent. So let's look for 34. Oh, it's not there. Dang it. We have to squeeze it in there. So 34 is halfway between 32 and 36. So the answer has to be halfway between these two. So my answer is going to be perfect again. 34 is 85% of 40. Because 85 is halfway between 80 and 90. Because 34 is halfway between 32 and 36. Count up by 2. And there you are. This is how you can use the double number line. Not saying that you have to do that every time, but this is a tool you can use. This was page 15. Let's move on. This is notes. Make sure you have your notes completed. Okay? Take a break, pause the video. Practice 5 always looks like homework when it says practice, right? Yep, It's homework. And you got to fill in these. You got to fill the numbers in here. Remember, this is percent. So 100%, we have the number 60. So you have to fill in, go up by 6, etc. And here you go up by 10, etc. Okay, 60, that would make this 120. Okay, I wanted to show you what is 20% of 60. Answer, 12 is 20% of 60. And here's the equivalent fraction. It's always the part over the total. So the total is always a bigger number, usually. 99% of the time, the bottom number is bigger. Notice, and here's always your percent, 100%. 20 out of 100 is 20%. So it's 12 out of 60. All right, your job is to fill in the rest. The equations here are going to look like that. And I can give you a little clue. The word is goes with the top. The word of goes with the bottom number. And then the percent is always in this spot. And it's always 100 in this spot. So this little sometimes helps. Whatever is associated with the word is, 12 is, goes here. Of, the word of goes here. The percent goes here. And this is always 100. So hopefully that helps a little bit. So try this page. This, if you don't understand or if you're getting confused, please ask in class. We got to get this straight, okay? And I'll be so glad to help you. No problem at all. And now we're on page 16. Are we doing more? Yes, this is a big lesson, guys. So this page is notes. I'm not doing this part, cross it out. Try these computational strategies for finding 20% of 50. Multiply 50 by 0.2. Use your calculator. 50 times 0.2 is 10. All right, why am I multiplying by 0.2? 20% as a decimal, you move your decimal backwards. So here's what are we gonna write? Move decimal back to the left. 2 spaces. Okay, sometimes you have to add zeros in front. If you don't have enough space, you add zeros and then you can move it, okay? So this is how you multiply if you want to find the percent. It's so simple, but you got to remember, you got to move your decimal back 2 spaces. Super important. Otherwise, guess what? It's not going to work. It's going to give you a much bigger number, okay? So we're skipping this. And multiply. So we want to find, oh, here's the problem hiding, 5% of 320. So 5%, so add some zeros, move your decimal 2 spaces. So we're multiplying 320 by 0.05. So 320, this is what you put in your calculator, times, this means times. And then when you do that, you should get 16. Try it. So back to the left. Okay, this is the important part. So this needs to be highlighted. Important. Okay, I might give you an IXL assignment on that to practice moving decimals, changing from percent to decimal and backwards. Okay, find the percent of each number. Let's try that. 9%, use a calculator. I want you to use a calculator. 9% of 60. So first change 9%. 9%, add some zeros to the front, move 2 spaces. So it's 60 times 0.09. Put that in your calculator. That's multiplying. 60 times. We're using parentheses as indicator to multiply. Notice when there's no symbol between the number and the parentheses, means there's a little dot hidden. It's a multiplication dot, but it's hidden and you don't see it. So put that in your calculator. Please practice now. Do not just copy my answers. I want you to practice using your calculator at home. So you're looking for your times button. It's an X, right? So when you get that, it should be, oh, I didn't work it out, so I'm going to do it myself. 60 times 0.09. I got 5.4. 5.4, but remember it's dollars. So you have to, you have to put a dollar sign and 2 decimals. $5.4, but remember it's dollars. So look at it and then add another 0. 9% of 60 is $5.40. All right, next one, 28% of 60. So the 28% need to be changed to a decimal. 1, 2. So it's 60 times 0.28. And then put that in your calculator. Oh, I worked that one out. $16.80. Okay, if your calculator is not giving you the exact number like mine, that means your calculator is set or programmed to round up or down automatically, which we don't want. So if your numbers don't quite match mine, that can be the problem. Then you have to go either online, look for a way to reset it to where it doesn't automatically round, or you just play around with it. Mode sometimes helps, and look for ways to reset your calculator so the rounding feature is turned off. Okay. All right, 87% of 110. Remember, 87% needs to be changed to a decimal first. So let's write change percent to decimal, always. And then you multiply. Just to give you a reminder, give yourself little reminders in your margin of your book, because we forget. We learn something for the first time or not so used to it. We need to get good at it. We need reminders. 87% is, put a 0, move twice, 0.87 times 110. I have $95.70. All right. Next, 2%. Oops, that's a good one because most students want to write 20, but it's 0.2 because you're moving twice. You got 0. Times 110. And when you do that, you get $2.20, very little. because it's so much less than, no, it's just a little, it's twice 1%. So it's, remember 1% you can find by dividing by 100. So then multiply that answer by 2. That's another way. Okay. Another sales tax. They raised their sales tax to 9.25%. The phone that you're buying, or your mom, poor mom or dad buying, what was the sales tax on a phone that cost $325? So we have to add that. So first let's find the tax. So you're changing 9.25% to a decimal, put zeros in the front, move it twice, and then multiply. 325, we don't need these two, times, well, that's a lot of zeros here, zero, that's a big number. Don't be afraid, just make sure you put it in your calculator correctly, okay? It's the same thing. See if you can do it yourself. Pause the video. On this one, you have to round down. The answer is 30.0625. So that means you're going to cut that off. $30.06 tax. So you would add that to your phone to get the total price out the door. Okay, so this has 4 decimals. You got to cut them off. 2, 4 or lower, you cut them off. 5 or higher, you add 1 to the last digit. Okay, let's finish this up. You tell me which strategy do you prefer? Double number line, chunking, multiply by a fraction. We never did that. Multiply by a decimal. We just did that using a calculator, obviously. Who would want to do this by hand, right? I mean, you could find 1% by dividing by 100 and then multiply your answer by 9.25, but that's very, very lengthy. Number 18. Oh, we're done. Yay. Finished with our little big lesson. Good luck, guys.